Hi, I'm Sam from Tarot for Writing. Thanks so much for joining me. Today we're going to take a look at the Queen of Wands. This is a series I'm doing where I take a closer look at every single card in the tarot deck. It was inspired by Esther from Mindful Tarot, and there's a hashtag associated with it as well that I will have in the description below. And the idea is to spend a little bit of time every single day mindfully looking at a tarot card, studying it, and I thought I'd share my thoughts with you. This is a great way to get to know the tarot cards on a deeper level, and I also share my thoughts and ideas on how I would use this card in my fiction writing with you. I'm a paranormal romance author, and I use tarot cards all the time to spark my creativity and help me come up with ideas for my novels. So let's talk about the Queen of Wands. When I'm drawing tarot cards just for myself, for a friend, that kind of thing, using it in the traditional tarot reading way, this makes me think of confident, creative control. So we looked previously in this series at the Page and most recently at the Knight of Wands, and there we had this outburst of energy, this raging fire of creativity. The Queen is more in control of that flame. She doesn't burn hot and burn out. She's gained the experience and the wisdom to kind of temper that down. I really think of her as fire tempered with water. And as a result, she's somebody who is very nurturing and very loving of life. We kind of see that in her golden robe or yellow robe and the sunflower, getting hints of the sun card, of the energy of the sun card there, combined with the creative energy of the wands, of course. And she just looks very comfortable, very in control, very open to new ideas, to new inspiration, to new life, sitting on her throne there, doesn't she? And I also think of her as someone who is fostering spiritual and creative growth. So as a writer, when I draw this card, as for example, during my daily tarot card pull, my daily draw, it is always a good reminder to look at what I can do to improve as a person or as a writer. Is there a new book I've been meaning to read? Is there a class I can take? What can I do to improve myself, to become a better person, to become a better mother, a better wife, a better friend, and a better fiction writer and author? So that's what the Queen of Wands represents for me. As part of Esther's challenge, she asks you to zero in on a detail and kind of think about that. And I found that a really helpful practice because it forces me to slow down, to take a closer look, to really pay attention to every single element on the card, what it could mean, what really stands out. And there are so many little details on these various cards that I never noticed before. It's so easy in a rush to think, okay, yeah, I know what the Queen of Wands card looks like. I know what it all means. But this process of slowing down and really zeroing in on a detail has been a very powerful part of this mindful exercise for me. And today, as I was looking at this card, the temptation was great to zero in on the cat, because that is a fun story. You hear different versions of it in different guidebooks or just various forms of learning about the tarot. But it seems to be a protective element. It might be a witch's familiar or just an animal that is a protective spirit to the Queen of Wands. But it felt a little bit too obvious. So what I decided to zero in on instead, let me see if I can bring you a little closer here, is her crown, or more specifically, the plants and leaves that are growing out of her crown. I thought that was kind of interesting. And I think it is a sign of her creative spirit because she's looking very relaxed, at rest, sitting on her throne. So, what this has me thinking is that even at rest, or maybe especially at rest, the ideas sprout and take form in the material world. And it was a good reminder for me as a creative person, as an artist, as an author, to make time to stop and rest, relax, meditate, just sit out on the porch with my cup of coffee and to just be, to just feel, to just let my mind relax. And I often find that those are the moments when inspiration strikes. That's when I have the idea for a new book, for a new character. But also, those are the moments when problems I have been struggling to solve within my story all of a sudden resolve themselves with just a little tiny spark or flash of inspiration that all of a sudden with this one little tweak I can make the whole story work. So it's a good reminder to just slow down, but also to take the rest to nourish yourself, to refeed or refill the creative well so that you can continue to be creative. And I think this whole idea of refilling the creative well is important because in this world, so much of it is go, 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 give, produce, get X amount of things done every single day. I'm bad about doing that myself. But at the same time, we have to step back, stop, and do something to put something in so we can continue to output creatively. For me, that usually means taking some time to read, taking some time to just go out in nature and just watch the beauty unfold in front of me. And sometimes it means just curling up on the couch and binging my favorite TV shows or watching a good movie, that kind of thing. So if you are a creative person as well, or, really I think this advice holds true for anybody, make sure you spend a little bit of time refilling and doing something just for you that you enjoy, something that brings you joy and sparks creativity in you. And then speaking of creativity, let's talk a little bit about how I would use a card like the Queen of Wands in my fiction writing. So when I'm creating a new character, I often pull a few different cards to get to know this character better or to inspire the character in the first place. It gives me an idea of their backstory, where they're coming from, what makes them tick, why they are the way they are, those kind of things. And with the Queen of Wands, this makes me think of a very confident woman, somebody attractive, sexy, and full of passion. At the same time, it's also somebody who is nurturing, but maybe with a bit of a temper. So I know this is totally stereotypical, but as an author, I often work with tropes, with familiar ideas. So the Queen of Wands makes me think of a redhead, somebody who is outgoing, full of fire, full of life, full of passion, but with a bit of a temper. And of course, this doesn't mean that necessarily that my character is going to be a woman, or that definitely not that they're going to be a redhead, but it gives me some character traits, some archetypes, and some places to start. I also think of this as a teacher. And then in the court cards of the wand, so far we talked a lot about artists. And for me, the Queen of Wands represents a painter. We also talked a lot about traveling in the Page and the Knight of Wands, how they were traveling adventurers. With her, I think more of somebody who is staying closer to home, At the same time, this is someone who is open to new ideas, open to new relationships, and open to inviting people in. So one thing that made me think of today is this would be the perfect person to run a boutique hotel or a bed and breakfast in a novel. I'm a romance author, so those kind of settings work really well for me. So I thought that would be fun if she ran a bed and breakfast somewhere. She also strikes me as a gardener. And then, of course, we have the sunflowers here. So as I am fleshing out scenes and developing more detail in my chapters, I like to pull cards as well. And here I often just pull a small little detail from the card and use that as inspiration to layer some more depth and detail into a chapter. And one way I would do that with the Queen of Wands is to kind of riff on the idea of the sunflower. So maybe that is her favorite flower, or maybe this is something that is given to her. You know, maybe her love interest gives her a bouquet of sunflowers, that kind of thing. So I thought that would be funny, or not funny, but fun and interesting to add. And again, kind of playing on her sunny disposition, her outlook on life, that kind of thing. I also think of this as maybe that's a part in the story where our character takes on a leadership position in the local community. And again, playing on the idea of the plants growing in her crown and the sunflower and everything we sort of see in the background here makes me think that maybe she or he, you know, the queen doesn't, the ideas of the queen don't necessarily have to be interpreted just as a female character. We can weave these traits in with a male character as well. Maybe they take a position of some sort of beautification committee or taken on a project to improve something in the town that the story takes place in. I also think of her as potentially being an author, so maybe that is something that we can play with in one of the chapters, where maybe the character is playing with the idea of becoming an author, or we learn that they have been writing or journaling for a long time, that kind of thing. And then, of course, you know, coming back to the beautiful black cat that we see depicted in the card, it could be somebody that owns cats. You know, how can I weave cats into the story with their unique behavior and their characteristics? And then kind of thinking on this idea of this animal being a protector, it made me think that maybe this character has a large black dog, a guard dog of some sort, you know, especially if it's a woman living by herself. Maybe that is someone she invited into her life to help protect her, and that could, of course, create all kinds of fun scenarios and interactions once she starts dating and bringing somebody into her house, and seeing how the dog or the cats react to this person and what we can sort of learn from that interaction. And again, going back to the sunflower, you know, this card could inspire me just to add somebody with a sunny disposition. I also read this card kind of as feeling safe and secure and in control. So maybe this is the moment in the story where the character steps into their own, becomes more confident because they feel loved, because they feel safe, because they feel secure, either because of the love of the other person, or this is the moment where the character learns that that kind of sense of confidence and security needs to come from the inside. Whatever they have to do to overcome that. You know, maybe it means finally moving out on their own. Maybe it means purchasing this house on their own and making the place their own, decorating it in a way that makes them feel comfortable and the best version of themselves. Maybe it means a makeover of some sort, you know, clothes and the way we present ourselves, the way we wear our hair, the way we put on makeup can be very powerful in the way we feel. Maybe the person steps into that and, you know, takes on that Queen of Wands energy, steps out and embodies that person. And then from this place of power and control, they can truly open themselves to the big emotions of love and the vulnerability that a relationship like that brings. So those are my thoughts on the Queen of Wands. I hope you enjoyed this exploration. I would love to hear from you. If you would like to leave a comment, I'd appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. And I hope you will be back for the next video where we wrap up the Suit of Wands with, of course, the King of Wands. I'll see you there.